What's up, YouTube? Today we're gonna go over the best and worst brawlers for Robo Rumble. We're gonna rank them from worst to best, but I added a new twist to today's brawler ranking video. We're also gonna do tier lists on top of ranking them from 1 to 21. We're gonna put each brawler in a tier, either S, A, B, C, D, or F. So we're gonna get extra depth to today's ranking. So let me know what you think about this new style, adding in the tier list to the rankings. Now guys, if you wanna know the best teams for Robo Rumble, just wait for the link at the end of the video or in the description. I did a video on that recently. All right, starting out with the F tier, we're gonna do all of these brawlers at once because I'm gonna recommend you do not play any of these brawlers from 21 through 15. All of these brawlers are going to be in the F tier. Piper, Bo, Poco, Brock, Tara, Crow, and Nita. The bottom line with the majority of these brawlers is they don't do enough damage. It's either a combination of that, they don't do enough damage, or they don't have enough health. And if you don't have either of those, you also need to have support, and none of these brawlers have all of those, any sort of factor of those combined. All these brawlers have to be carried really hard. I'm going to recommend you don't use any of these brawlers in Robo Rumble. None of them are well suited for it, so let's move on into the D tier. Yeah, there's only going to be one brawler in this tier, and he is arguably F tier, but at 14, not 15. At 14, it's going to be Mortis. Now, Mortis I had in the D tier, not the F tier, for one specific reason. Yes, he's really low damage, low reload speed. There's not many situations where Mortis is useful in Robo Rumble, except one. There's one specific team comp that's not very easy to use, which you can get a really, really good team with, a really good time with, and that's Mortis, Frank, and Tara. I've seen one team use this team comp really well. I'm sure others could as well, but it's definitely very difficult. The gist of it is Mortis goes and gathers up robots, and then Tara supers them together, and then Frank stuns them. And it does require Mortis for that strategy, but it's not a very consistent strategy, and it does require a specific map. So I'm not really going to recommend that strategy, and besides that strategy, Mortis is really bad in Robo Rumble. Now look, I know Mortis was used for that glitch, that exploit for everyone to get 13 minutes and 14 seconds, but that has been fixed. If someone can get another exploit, maybe Mortis will go up in the rankings, but for now, he's at 14 and in D tier. Alright, now we're on to the C tier. These brawlers are all pretty good, but they definitely have one significant flaw at the least. Alright, at 13, it's gonna be Spike. Spike, besides Robo Rumble, is one of the best brawlers in the game, but in Robo Rumble, not really. He doesn't do enough damage. That's the main problem with Spike. He has good damage per shot, but it doesn't hit multiple brawlers that well, and his super, it heals him up, which is nice, but it doesn't do that much damage overall. On top of it, in Robo Rumble, it takes Spike a long time to charge his super. So Spike, combined with having low health, not great damage, okay damage, not great area control. He has a lot of decent factors going for him, but he doesn't really have any great factors, so Spike's going to be at 13. At 12, it's going to be Penny. Penny is sort of similar. Penny does not deal enough damage. Her cannon is also not always that useful. Some brawlers move too quick to even be hit by Penny's cannon, so sometimes she might be constantly missing. If Penny's cannon is targeting shooter robots, it's gonna do well, but if it's targeting fast robots, fast mouse robots, not gonna do very well. And the melee robots as well, not gonna do very well, especially once you get past 5 minutes. Once you get past that third boss, Penny's cannon is not nearly gonna be that useful. Penny also has a really low damage per shot, but does have that added effect of Penny's coin bag, possibility of hitting multiple robots, so that can be pretty good for sure. Penny does have a slow reload speed though, and not great health and no other support attributes, so Penny's gonna be okay, but not that great. At 11, it's gonna be Jessie. Jessie's gonna be a similar story to Penny, but a little bit more consistent. Jessie's turret definitely more useful than Penny's, as you're gonna put it in a place where it's likely to get hits, and it's definitely gonna get hits. The one thing with Jessie's turret is it's also likely to go down. Now, if you have Jessie's star power, you can keep it up and get some hits, which will do pretty decent. It's still likely to go down, but you're probably going to get it back fairly quickly, as Jesse's ability to bounce shots off different enemies will work pretty well in Robo Rumble. You're going to get a good amount of hits that way. So Jesse's DPS can be really high in the correct situation. But Jesse's not super great at getting a really high time. Jessie is definitely a really solid brawler. I didn't quite think she was good enough for B tier, but she's definitely a good option. The last brawler in the C tier is gonna be Shelly. Shelly, as a shotgun brawler, is really good versus those close range robots. The fast melee robots especially. Also pretty good versus the really high health boxer robots. Now, once you get past the later stages, past the third boss, Shelly might struggle a little bit. She does a lot of damage at really close range, but she doesn't have the health that the tanks have. She's a little bit low health, so she needs a healer on her team like Pam to keep her health up. Now, she has a little bit extra damage than those tanks, but she suffers in the health department. So it's a little bit give or take with Shelly. Some people really like her. Some find her not as consistent, and that's going to be my caveat with her. I think she struggles a little bit versus those super high health boxer robots. And in Robo Rumble, you don't get your super back as fast as you do normally. If Shelly got her super back really fast like you can in normal Brawl Stars, Shelly would be really high in this list because she would be able to just constantly chain supers. She's not able to chain supers quite as well in Robo Rumble, and that's one of the reasons she's going to be at 10. All right, now we're in the B tier. These brawlers are pretty flexible. They're not super strong, but you can put them in a variety of different team comps, and they're going to do pretty well. At number 9, we're going to have Daryl. In my opinion, probably the worst of the tanks, but tanks are pretty good in Robo Rumble. Having high health has been very important since those boxer melee robots began charging at you every few seconds. You need some brawlers that can deal with those charger robots pretty well, and tanks are good at that. Daryl is one of those tanks, got a lot of damage at close range, got a lot of health. His super is not great for Robo Rumble. It's actually really bad for Robo Rumble. I'd probably recommend you almost never use it. You have to have a very precise situation where it's going to be a really short distance to use his super, and you're going to get multiple hits. A lot of times, though, it puts you out of position, and you end up in an awkward spot, and you don't get much damage. It does a small interruption, but usually it's not worth using. It doesn't get you your super back that much. The only time I'd probably use it is if you just died and you're getting back to the boss that just spawned or something like that. So Daryl's going to be a pretty solid option, but not amazing. At 8, it's going to be El Primo. El Primo, another tank, has the highest health for the game, or tied for the highest health with Frank. And he has punches people, but the important part with El Primo is he can hit multiple robots at the same time. So that's really key in Robo Rumble, because sometimes later stages you might have a couple melee robots chasing El Primo, and he can hit multiple of them, giving him a really high damage per second. On top of that, El Primo's super is the most useful of the tanks except for Frank, because he can actually jump over walls, and he can choose specifically where he lands, which can definitely be important. So El Primo, a really solid pick as a tank. At 7, it's going to be the last of the shotgun or close range tanks, Bull. Bull, another really solid option. In my opinion, probably the best of these past two I talked about. You could argue El Primo as slightly better, depending on your opinion, for El Primo hitting multiple robots versus Bull and his star power. Bull's star power is definitely one of the main reasons Bull is one of the better tanks in my opinion. Once he gets below 40% health, his reload speed goes 50% better. Really good for Bull. All of a sudden, he can get low health and deal a ton of damage, which is definitely going to happen as you get in those later stages. Being able to get those last finishing blows on those robots can be really important, and Bull is going to be able to get 1 or 2 more shots in, which is really important because that's a lot of damage in close range, and they are going to be in close range versus Bull. Now at 6, it's going to be the last of the B tier brawlers, Dynamite. Dynamite is a really solid brawler in Robo Rumble. Of course, he can throw over walls, he can hit multiple brawlers with his regular attack and with his super, so there's a lot of things going for Dynamite. The one caveat with Dynamite is he might not be the most consistent. He's not going to hit as many robots at the same time. While he can hit multiple robots, the radius for it isn't that large with the exception of his super. but he doesn't charge his super that fast. But he's still a really good option overall. I definitely recommend him in almost any team comp. He's not going to be the best thrower though, but Dynamite is still going to be a really solid option overall in Robo. Now we're in the A tier. These brawlers are really solid and I would recommend them for any team you play, whether you're with randoms, whether you're with friends, any team you play, these brawlers are all going to be really good picks. Now one thing to remember in Robo Rumble is the damage per second in Robo Rumble of brawlers is really different compared to normal Brawl Stars. In Robo Rumble, you're likely to hit almost every single shot. So brawlers where maybe they have a low accuracy versus human opponents, you're not going to have that in Robo Rumble. Keep that in mind. At number 5, it's going to be Colt. Colt normally not very high in many rankings, but in Robo Rumble, as I was saying, he's going to hit every single shot, and he's going to do a lot of damage. So Colt is a really good pick in Robo Rumble. He's going to hit most of those shots, and his super as well. Normally a little hard to hit and a little hard to get a lot of damage. In Robo Rumble, you're going to be able to get a lot of damage with these walls that allow you to funnel robots in together, and you can use your teammates to try and funnel multiple robots in together. Colt is going to be able to hit a couple different robots with all of his super, and he can do a lot of damage. So Colt is a really solid pick in Robo Rumble. At 4, it's going to be his shooter brethren, Ricochet. Ricochet, though, is definitely a more solid pick than Colt. He fires one less shot, but with his star power, he does a little bit more damage if you hit every single shot. You're not always going to hit every single shot, but that ability to bounce shots is really key because with these random map spawns where walls are constantly changing every single time you play, you never know exactly what sort of map you're going to get. Sometimes you have walls that are really weird, and Ricochet can use those walls to get hits without being hit. He can have really good angles that just allow him to get more damage than Colt might. Combine that with his super, which again takes advantage of that. You can get a lot of damage with Ricochet. You can reach around corners. It's just a really, really good ability. He is going to be a really good damage dealer for Robo Rumble, and I would definitely recommend him on any team. At number 3, it's going to be the last of the A tier brawlers for Robo Rumble, Frank. Now, I thought about putting Frank in S tier because his stun is really, really strong in Robo Rumble, and it's really important for getting the highest possible times. But part of the reason I'm not doing that is because if you're just going for max times as consistently as possible, when I say max time, I mean getting max keys every single time, Frank is good but not great for that. Frank thrives when there is a lot of robots because he can hit multiple at the same time, and his stun can stun a lot of them at the same time, which of course when there's a lot of robots, that's really important to stop them in their tracks. But as you get past the 3rd boss, it takes a good amount of time for there to be enough robots where Frank is really becoming that strong. He's still going to be a really, really good brawler no matter what in Robo Rumble, but until you get to the really later stages, Frank is not going to be super, super OP. But at number 3, he is still a really, really good brawler in Robo Rumble. I would recommend him on any team, combined with the fact that he has a really high health. The one thing is he struggles a little bit versus those charger boxer robots. That's probably the biggest weakness with Frank. So he relies on his teammates a little bit to deal with that because he can take a good amount of damage that way, and it might stop him from hitting multiple robots as he sort of has to get a position to deal with that and hit multiple people, which doesn't always work. But Frank is going to be a really, really good pick in Robo Rumble. I would definitely recommend it. Now for the S tier. These brawlers are overpowered in Robo Rumble, and I'm going to 100% use each of these brawlers on whatever team you play. At number 2, it's going to be Barley. Barley is really good in Robo Rumble. Of course, he can throw over walls, but he can also hit a lot of different robots really easily with that wide area of attack with his normal attack. Combine that with his super, which can hit a lot of brawlers or a lot of robots, and it does a lot of damage. Wait, but I'm not done. His star power, he can just keep on attacking and he will heal up, which in Robo Rumble cannot be underrated because there are a lot of times where you might not have the time to heal up because that next wave of robots is coming and you don't got time to sit there and wait. You got to start attacking before they get to you. So Barley has a lot of really good things going for him. He's definitely going to be really, really strong in Robo Rumble. And if you want to get to the really, really later stages, you also need a Barley because he's going to hit a lot of robots and he's going to do a lot of damage. And the number 1 brawler in Robo Rumble, it's going to be Pam. Pam is just super OP in Robo Rumble, and she is needed on every single team. Not only does she have a high amount of health, which is great for Robo Rumble, especially versus Charger robots, she also has a healing turret, which is so clutch. As I was saying earlier, you don't always have the time to heal up versus those robots, but they can also do a lot of damage. So that healing turret, which is constantly going to be up, is really, really needed, especially versus those bosses as well. Just allows you to be a lot more consistent. But Pam also does a good amount of damage, because in Robo Rumble, as I was saying earlier, you're going to be hitting a lot of your shots, almost all of your shots. So Pam is going to have the ability to deal a lot of damage. Come on, she's gotten a couple damage buff recently. She's just good in a lot of different ways. Pam's gonna be my best brawler for Robo Rumble. You wanna see the best 3 teams for Robo Rumble? Go check them out over here. Thanks so much for watching today's ranking video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you later.